Hi, I'm Miranda from Marketing for Mental Health Practitioners. So, no different to the mental health space, the marketing that should be used within healthcare marketing should be evidence-based marketing. Also, no different to the mental health space, there are obviously nuances. We're talking about humans when it comes to marketing and mental health, and there are also nuances when it comes to geographic location, industry, type of client you're working with, how much competition you have, so how many other therapists are doing something similar to you. But as much as possible, the marketing that we want to be doing and incorporating into your private therapy practice should be evidence-based. So every Friday, I am going to be doing a literature review of a healthcare marketing paper, giving you some main takeaways of the paper and then how you can incorporate that into your marketing for your private therapy practice. So obviously a lot of the literature review that we'll be going through, we'll be looking at different types of healthcare. So we always need to keep that in mind. But normally within marketing, there might be nuances, but the foundations in terms of what marketing works and what doesn't is very similar. So today's article, the first article that we're doing, is called Understanding the Power of Hope and Empathy in Healthcare Marketing. So all the details are below the video. So if you want to go and download this article yourself, the authors are there and the publication. It was published in the Journal of Consumer Marketing in October 2016. So the whole purpose of the article and the research was to explore the impact of emotions in healthcare advertising. So the paper mentions that there has been a lot of research in terms of using emotions in advertising in different industries, but empirical evidence within the healthcare marketing space is limited. Well, it was more limited back in 2016. There's obviously been more research done since then, but I thought it was a really interesting article and quite helpful to see the results of this because it focused on two main emotions, which is hope and empathy, two emotions that are obviously really important within mental health. So a few things that I wanted to highlight before sort of talking about the conclusions and takeaways of the research. So the paper spends some time talking about emotions as a whole, and then what it views hope and how it defines hope and empathy. And then also mentions that within the study, it also includes patient testimonials and medical expert testimonials. So also, before we go on, the research was focused on the cancer space and also the diabetes space. So the paper mentions that emotions, unlike other feeling states, involve a high degree of cognitive awareness, and it is well known that advert-based feelings and emotions play a really critical role in the formation of attitudes and judgments about products and services. So no surprises there. So then it goes on to define what the paper means when it's talking about and including hope and empathy in the study. So it says hope is defined as a positive emotion induced in response to an uncertain but possible goal congruent outcome. So it goes on to say the physiological effects of hope are well documented. Hope may serve to protect us from stress, anxiety, and the effects of negative life events, and has been shown to promote healthy behaviours. The healing powers of hope are the topics of numerous books and health-related TV shows. So then it goes on to talk about empathy. So empathy is typically defined in terms of being aware of another person's internal states and or putting oneself in place of another and experiencing his or her feelings, which as mental health professionals and therapists, you clearly know. So it goes on to point out that there's obviously a difference between hope and empathy, because empathy is ultimately coming from someone else and hope is within that person. So the two hypotheses that the study tested was, firstly, a hope or empathy-based emotional appeal for a healthcare provider will be more effective than a non-emotional appeal. So initially it's just going emotion versus no emotion in the ad. The second hypothesis was, compared to a non-emotional appeal, an emotional appeal for a healthcare provider that fosters hope will be more effective than an empathy-based appeal. So as I mentioned earlier, then the study basically created ads focused on diabetes and cancer, obviously separately, and some of the ads just focused on emotions versus no emotions, and other ads focused on hope versus empathy, and also looked at the difference between including, say, hope and a patient testimonial, hope and a medical expert testimonial, and then did the same for empathy as well. What did the findings find? So the findings supported that a hope-based appeal with an expert testimonial is more effective compared to other ad formats tested. So the main takeaways were that hope is more powerful in terms of making someone believe that that healthcare treatment is going to be a better option for them compared to empathy in the ad. And medical expert testimonial had a much bigger impact compared to patient testimonial. So what was interesting is that the patient testimonial really had minimal, if any, impact at all. So respondents lacked a close connection with the unknown endorser / patient testimonial. And the study believed that the people in the study just viewed the patient testimonial as, probably fake, probably exaggerated. So that really didn't play a role at all in influencing someone in terms of whether they were going to be more likely to take the next step and access that type of healthcare treatment. Which is interesting because there continues to be a lot of focus on patient testimonials. Obviously, depending on where you're watching this, patient testimonials in Australia are not allowed within our healthcare advertising regulations, but they are allowed in other countries like the States. And the question is too much emphasis put on them in the States? And I think probably yes. I think, people feel like they should have patient or client testimonials on their website, but what role, if any, is that really playing in persuading someone to decide that you're the right therapist for them? I mean, are they going to go with you over someone else because of testimonials? Definitely not in just isolation, I don't think. In terms of what the practical implications are of this study. So the paper mentions that emotions such as hope and empathy can continuously influence the way people view their relationship over time with a product or service within healthcare, and thus can help build a trusted relationship. In particular, fostering an emotion such as hope across marketing communication platforms can not only increase favourable evaluations towards the healthcare provider, but can also motivate patients to reach their goals. Hope can also serve to emotionally strengthen as well as engage patients, which is important as engaged patients are more likely to comply with treatment, seek preventative care, and are less inclined to participate in unhealthy behaviours. So it seems that the study has formed sort of two conclusions in terms of hope is stronger in terms of influencing someone to pick a certain healthcare provider. And it also plays a role in terms of how emotionally engaged that patient is in terms of being invested in their own well-being and making positive decisions and choices around that compared to negative. It also states that a hope appeal coupled with an expert testimonial was more effective at enhancing consumer perceptions of a cancer treatment healthcare provider. When expert testimonials are connected with services that require high levels of expertise or advanced technology and consumers have limited knowledge, expert testimonials can be especially effective at cultivating positive perceptions of that healthcare provider. Thus, healthcare advertisers using hope appeals directed at consumers should consider including expert testimonials in their advertisements. So it's often a little bit different if you're talking about a big healthcare provider, because obviously there's the healthcare provider brand and lots of doctors and clinicians that work within, compared to often therapy practices that, often you might just be a solo practitioner at the moment or just have a few people. So you are the brand and you are the medical expert all in one, which is actually a good thing in many ways. So the study also goes on, which is good, to say that anyone involved in healthcare advertising has to ensure that they not only incorporate emotional and hope-based appeals in their advertising, that it's also supported by scientific evidence in terms of the treatments and services they're providing. So it states advertisers should work to ensure that there is a balance between healthcare advertising, which connects with consumers emotionally, and advertising which provides accurate information. Obviously, that's really important. So when we're thinking about the findings of this study in terms of the practical implications and how it transfers over to you as a therapy practice, I think, empathy obviously plays a role in what you do. But if we're thinking about the findings of this research, then if we're thinking about how to incorporate feelings of hope in your marketing messages and also incorporating expert testimonials, which is yourself, I think there's a really nice opportunity to create marketing messaging that incorporates both. So I just wrote a draft one, which I thought might be helpful. So here's something you could potentially say, include on your website, include on social, in a video. So as a psychotherapist who has been working with clients experiencing depression for over 10 years, I understand how challenging each day can be with depression. I also know that it is possible to find a way through, to make each day a little easier and to find joy again. So within that paragraph, you're going, this is who I am and I have lots of experience. Therefore, I get, what you're probably going through. And I also know, based on my expertise, that there is a way through. So I'm giving you hope based on my expertise. So I hope that was helpful. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this, if you found it useful, if you'd like me to continue doing them every Friday. If there's any topic that you would like to focus on in terms of behavior, like client behavior in terms of consumer behavior or type of marketing that you would like to learn more about the research and evidence that sits behind that. So you might go, well, I hear this all the time, but is there anything to support that? Then pop that in the comments and I'll add that to the list. Thanks so much.